There are many secret things in this world, like the Vatican archives, Area 51, or what's really in your neighbor's basement. But none are as cold, calculated, and straight-up hidden as submarine bases. We're talking remote coastlines, mountains hollowed out like movie villain lairs, and military zones so classified they barely exist on paper. These aren't just parking spots for submarines. They're underground fortresses where nuclear weapons sleep and silent war machines wait for orders. Most people will never see them, and that's the point. So buckle up. We're diving deep into 15 of the most secretive submarine bases ever built. Starting with number 15, Cape Wrath Naval Base. Cape Wrath feels like the edge of the earth. Situated on the northwestern tip of mainland Britain, this vast headland is brutally remote. Access involves a ferry ride and a single winding track laid down in the 1800s. Once there, you're surrounded by peat bogs, cliffs, and silence. The Ministry of Defense controls 23 square miles here, transforming this windswept wild into NATO's only integrated land, air, and sea assault training zone in the Northern Hemisphere. Gunnery ranges, observation posts, controlled detonations. But here's the twist. It's also a haven for wildlife. Over 50,000 seabirds nest on its cliffs. It's a protected conservation zone until the missiles start flying. That tension is constant. In 2008, a military fire scorched parts of the land. In 2002, a live shell misfired near civilians. This isn't a tourist spot. It's a paradox where live fire drills meet puffin colonies. And with roads closed during training, Cape Wrath stays as inaccessible and unpredictable as the missions it prepares for. So don't visit. Number 14, Yulin Naval Base. Yulin isn't just a military base, it's a vault carved into the side of an island. Hidden on the southern coast of Hainan, this place is where China keeps some of its most powerful secrets underwater. It's not surrounded by fences or warning signs, it's wrapped in jungle, cliffs, and layers of silence. The main event isn't what's above ground, it's what disappears below. Submarines, including the nuclear Type 093 class, glide straight into underground tunnels that swallow them whole. No splash, no trace. In 2023, a satellite caught a rare glimpse, one of these subs entering the rock. It looked like something out of a spy film, except it wasn't fiction. China spent over $18 billion building this fortress, and they didn't do it for style points. It's a core part of their naval playbook, especially in the South China Sea. There's no tourist access, no journalists poking around. If anything happens here, it'll happen in the dark. Quiet, fast, and with no warning. Nobody talks about Yulin out loud, and that's exactly how China wants it. Number 13, Camp Century. Camp Century was never supposed to be found. Built under 100 feet of Greenland's ice, this Cold War outpost was part science lab, part top-secret military experiment. In public, it studied Arctic survival. Behind the scenes, it was testing the idea of launching nuclear missiles from hidden tunnels, Project Iceworm. The theory: use the ice sheet to hide hundreds of missile silos aimed at the Soviet Union. But there was a problem. Ice doesn't sit still. It shifts, buckles, crushes. The tunnels warped, and the plan collapsed. By 1967, Camp Century was abandoned. The reactor was removed. The waste, left behind, radioactive sludge, fuel, sewage, all buried under the assumption the ice would seal it forever. Fast forward to 2024, NASA tech scanning the ice revealed structures that shouldn't exist. Camp Century had been rediscovered. Now it's more than a Cold War relic. It's an environmental nightmare waiting to melt into the ocean. A reminder that even the most secret military plans can thaw their way back into the spotlight. Number 12, Sea-Based X-band Radar. Well, at first sight, it looks like something out of a sci fiction, a massive white dome balanced atop a floating oil rig. But this isn't fiction. It's the Sea-Based X-band Radar, or SBX-1, and it's one of the most advanced missile tracking systems on Earth. Mounted on a CS-50 semi-submersible platform, this beast can be moved across oceans, quietly watching the skies. Inside that dome is an 18,000-pound X-band radar dish powered by 45,000 transmit-receive modules. Its job? Detect and track ballistic missiles. From 1,200 miles away, it can even separate real warheads from decoys. That makes it invaluable to the U.S. missile defense network. But the tech isn't flawless. In some high-profile tests, the SBX missed its targets, plagued by software bugs and mechanical issues. Still, its mobility and raw capability make it a nightmare for anyone trying to sneak a launch past U.S. defenses. It's usually stationed near Adak Island, remote, frozen, and nearly impossible to reach, which is exactly how the military likes it. Number 11. Zapadnaya Litsa Naval Base. Zapadnaya Litsa is the base that Russia and Putin don't want you to know exists. Perched near the Norwegian border, buried within fjords on the Kola Peninsula, this place defines isolation. It's home to some of the Russian Navy's most advanced and dangerous nuclear submarines. The winters? Brutal. 43 days of polar night each year. Swamps, ice, and rock, no roads lead in easily. The base started in 1939 as Base Nord but faded after the Germans pushed into Norway. It came roaring back when the Soviets launched their nuclear fleet. The K-3, their first nuclear sub, was based here in 1958. Since then, Zapadnaya Litsa has grown into a hidden fortress. Environmental damage? Off the charts. Soviet-era radioactive waste still lingers. The area is so closed off that even satellite imagery tells you little. Despite global pressure, Russia's kept this site sealed tight. What happens in those fjords isn't just about deterrence, it's about projection, reminding the world that beneath the Arctic ice, silence is a weapon. Number 10. Naval Base Point Loma. Point Loma doesn't brag, but it doesn't have to. Sitting on the San Diego coastline, it's one of the most critical submarine hubs in the United States. This place has a history. In the 1800s, Spanish forces scouted the area. By the mid-1900s, the Navy was using it to push submarine tech forward. Today, it's home to Submarine Squadron 11 and hosts nuclear-powered subs on the regular. Entry? Good luck. Every road is guarded. Every movement is tracked. Even military personnel need layers of clearance to get past the gates. What happens here doesn't make headlines unless a president shows up, which actually happened in 2023 when leaders from the US, UK, and Australia met here to announce a major nuclear submarine deal. Point Loma handles deployment, maintenance, intelligence, and logistics, all from one coastal stretch that's locked down tighter than a vault. From underwater drones to stealth systems, this base has a hand in it. On the surface, it's quiet. Beneath, it's all motion. Alright guys, now, let's talk about Number 9. Naval Magazine, Indian Island. You won't find tourist ferries to Indian Island. This isolated, tree-covered chunk of land off Washington's coast is anything but a nature retreat. It's one of the U.S. Navy's most heavily restricted weapons depots. Officially known as Naval Magazine Indian Island, it stores and loads munitions for warships, including nuclear-capable submarines. There are over 100 ammo bunkers here nicknamed igloos, each reinforced to contain deadly payloads. A massive pier juts out into the water, capable of docking ships with 55 feet of draft. Even civilian cargo barges get access carefully and under heavy supervision. Want to load a submarine with torpedoes? It can take 6 days using specialized cable and pulley systems. The island's crane, nicknamed Big Blue, can lift 89,000 pounds in one go. Around 160 people work here, all commuting daily. No one lives on the island. Every inch is locked down. Cameras, gates, protocols. Indian Island isn't about offense or diplomacy. It's the last place a ship visits before going dark in the Pacific. Number 8. U.S. Navy Acoustic Research Detachment. There's no ocean here, no coastline, Just a sleepy little town in Idaho with just 500 residents and a lake deeper than Loch Ness. Lake Pend Oreille is where sound goes to hide. Beneath its still waters, the U.S. Navy runs one of the quietest testing operations in the world. They don't test missiles or warheads here, they test silence, sonar, echoes. The way submarines sound or don't. The base dates back to World War II but now handles advanced underwater acoustic testing for nearly every modern American submarine system. A massive ring of hydrophones sits anchored to the lakebed, constantly listening. They measure every frequency, every ripple. It's not glamorous. There are no flashing lights or launching bays. It's data, precision, stealth. Everything that makes a submarine deadly starts here in a lake surrounded by pine trees. You won't see a fence or warning sign. You won't hear anything either, and that's the whole point. The most dangerous weapon isn't the one that fires, it's the one that no one hears coming. Number 7. Naval Submarine Base Bangor. Bangor doesn't just hide subs, it hides an entire nuclear arsenal. Located on the Kitsap Peninsula in Washington state, it's the backbone of the U.S. Navy's Pacific deterrent. Ohio-class Trident submarines call it home, and they don't just carry torpedoes, they carry enough firepower to end countries. Originally built in 1942 as a WWE munitions depot, the base shifted to submarines in the 70s. Now it houses Strategic Weapons Facility Pacific, where warheads and missiles are assembled, tested, and guarded with military-grade obsession. The base itself is built for secrecy. Roads in are monitored, shorelines are patrolled. Even if you're military, clearance only gets you so far. And the Marines? They've been handling security since 1978, and they don't mess around. Bangor is also home to SWFPAC, the testing and calibration arm for the Trident program. Every bolt, every button, every calculation runs through there. It's not a museum, it's a silent machine, constantly ready to launch, but never saying a word. That's deterrence. Number 6. Subic Bay Naval Base. Subic Bay isn't just a relic, it's still very much in play. Located on the west coast of Luzon in the Philippines, this deep water port was once a crown jewel in the U.S. Navy's Pacific operations. Though officially closed in 1991 after Mount Pinatubo erupted, Subic never really stopped being important. It transformed into a free-port zone, but its sheltered harbor and costly infrastructure still scream military readiness. Today, Allied naval forces, especially the U.S., continue to use it for refueling, repairs, and resupply. Subic's layout includes airfields, dry docks, and underwater access points ideal for submarine operations. Much of it remains off-limits, fenced in and quietly monitored. And that secrecy? It's no accident. Submarine visits aren't advertised. The Philippine government, under mounting regional tensions, is keeping the door open for future military cooperation. Subic may be labeled a commercial port, but anyone paying attention knows better. Its location and legacy ensure it'll always be more than just a stopover. It's a standby stronghold in waiting. Number 5. Severomorsk. Severomorsk isn't the kind of place that shows up on postcards. Built into the icy backbone of the Kola Peninsula, this town exists for one reason: to run the Russian Northern Fleet. The whole place operates like a giant sealed military compound: submarines, warships, dry docks, and silence. The Arctic cold doesn't bother the people here. What matters is the presence of one of Russia's most lethal naval arsenals. Originally known as Vyenga, it started as a timber outpost, then turned into a naval fortress as the Cold War ramped up. Today, the base remains off-limits, and most civilians never get close. Even information is restricted, movement is tracked, access is controlled, and the local airfield still supports strategic operations. The dry docks here are massive, specifically built to support nuclear submarines. This isn't a relic of history, it's still operational, still relevant. The sea around it might freeze, but Severomorsk never sleeps. It's the kind of place where global tension waits in silence, just beneath the surface. Number 4. INS Varsha. Just south of Visakhapatnam, India, is quietly building a beast beneath the coast. INS Varsha isn't finished yet, but once it's online, it'll be one of the most formidable submarine bases in Asia. Dug into rugged hills by the Bay of Bengal, it's being built to house India's growing nuclear sub-fleet, vessels like the Arihant class and the new S-5 class boats. We're talking deep underground pens, stealth-protected tunnels, and enough fortified space to vanish an entire fleet from satellite view. For years, Visakhapatnam has done double duty hosting military and commercial ships, but it's congested and vulnerable. Varsha fixes that. It's fully military, fully hidden, and strategically located to project Indian power into the Indo-Pacific. Challenges? Plenty. Cyclones, humidity, saltwater corrosion. But India's investing billions to overcome them. Once operational, Varsha will give India quicker strike capability, better maintenance logistics, and full control over a stretch of ocean where China's presence keeps growing. This isn't just a base, it's a warning wrapped in concrete. Number 3. Clyde Naval Base. Clyde isn't loud, but it's not quiet either. It's the kind of place where everything matters. Every name on a list, every truck that rolls in, every door that opens. Tucked into the cold waters of Scotland's Gairloch, it houses Britain's most serious insurance policy, nuclear-armed submarines. This base runs the Trident program, with Vanguard-class subs resting just beneath the surface, ready to vanish into the North Atlantic. The location was chosen with purpose: deep, protected waters, far from population, but close enough to launch. But it's not just subs. The 43 Commando Royal Marines are stationed here too, their job being simple: guard the nukes. Every inch of this place is watched. Cameras, armed patrols, clearance checks. Even contractors face screening that would make an airport blush. And no, the public doesn't get a peek. The base's secondary facility, Coolport, holds the warheads. So while tourists hike the highlands, just over the ridge sits a base that could rewrite history in minutes. Number 2. Harvey Point Defense Testing Activity. Harvey Point isn't on most maps, and that's no accident. Tucked along a quiet stretch in North Carolina, this place doesn't look like a fortress, but it's where some of the US government's most shadowy training happens. CIA operatives, SEAL Team 6, counter-terrorism drills, they've all trained here. The facility dates back to World War II, when the Navy picked up the land for under $50,000. Back then, it partnered with nearby Weeksville, running coastal surveillance with blimps. Today, Harvey Point runs operations you'll never read about. It's fenced, patrolled, and wrapped in restricted airspace. The public can't get in, and even most military personnel won't ever be cleared to set foot inside. Explosives training, surveillance testing, urban combat simulations. It's all part of the daily rhythm here. They don't advertise it. They don't deny it. Harvey Point's whole job is to stay quiet and off radar until it isn't. It's not just a base, it's a pressure cooker for the most secretive missions the US pulls off. Number 1. Olavsvern. From the outside, it looks like nothing. A mountain, a road, maybe a weathered gate. But Olavsvern is one of the most secretive submarine bases ever built, and it's inside the rock. Located near Tromsø in northern Norway, this Cold War-era installation was built by NATO and the Royal Norwegian Navy to vanish into the landscape. Completed in the late 80s, the base stretches through over 270,000 square feet of tunnels, dry docks, and chambers. Submarines could slide directly into mountain-protected bays, shielded from radar, satellites, and almost any kind of attack. But then came the twist. In 2009, Norway decommissioned it. A few years later, it was sold to private investors. Eventually, it ended up leased by Russian-linked companies, setting off alarms across Europe. A NATO base, once built to counter Russia, now potentially serving its interests. It was supposed to be a relic. But the structure is still intact, the tunnels still secure. If something goes down in the Arctic, Olavsvern might not stay quiet for long. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content like this. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.